KPM. Didik TV KPM.
SPM 22 students, give me a wave. That's right. Hi everyone, my name is Chris MJ and you are watching Sukses SPM 2022, where we're going to discuss tips and strategies on how to score the best score you can get in SPM. And today we are going to focus on Bahasa Inggeris. So what are we going to learn today? It has something to do with once upon a time and happily ever after. But first, let's get to know today's teacher. That's right, my friends. For today's lesson, I have Miss Sim with me in studio. Hi, Miss Sim. How are you?
Hi, Chris. Good.
Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well, and I'm happy that you're here with me. But it is not just the two of us, Miss Sim. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have brought some classmates for me as well online. Let's get to know them. Hi, everyone. Hi. All right, Miss Sim. Could you be so kind as to introduce my new friends for today?
All right, sure. Okay, so today we have a few friends with us. Okay, let's have you, Ting. Ting, can you wave to them?
Hi.
Yes, we have Ting here.
Okay.
And next we have Lim Lewei.
Okay, hi, Louis.
Right. Okay, next we have Lai Junwei. Junwei, can you wave to them? Yes.
Hi, Junwei.
And the last one we have Chia Yibun.
All right,
Yes,
hi
good.
everyone. So
Yeah.
these students are from SMJK Yokwan, your
Correct.
school as well.
Yes.
All right. So without further ado, I'm sure everyone is ready to learn some new strategies and tips on how to answer better in SPM 2022. But first, I would like to ask you, what are we going to learn today, teacher?
Today we are going to learn about writing and how to write a story.
Okay,
Yeah.
how to write a story. And do
correct.
you have any slides for us today?
Yes, sure.
Okay, let's start now, teacher. Go
Okay.
ahead. So what are we going to focus on today?
Alright, okay, so today we are going to focus on writing, okay? We're going to learn how to write a story interestingly, okay? So writing is also in our SPM 1119 paper, okay, English language, and it is in paper 2. So let's see, where are we going to learn today? Okay, so before that, I'm going to introduce you the new format of the SPM paper, because some of you may not be familiar with this format because it's very new. Okay, this is the format starting from 2021, alright? So if you look at this, we have 3 parts for our writing paper, okay? So that means what? That means you have to write 3 essays. So for the first part, we have short communicative message, which means you have to write an email. Okay, and for the part 2, we have guided writing, and this essay is based on a discussion in class, based on a topic that you are going to write. Okay, and part 3 is an extended writing. Okay, you have a few choices for you to choose. So we have article or report, we have a review about magazine or books, okay, and the last one is we have a story. Sometimes they give you a title, sometimes they ask you to start or end a story with a given sentence, okay? So today our focus will be focusing on story. Yeah, we are going to learn how to write a story. Okay, next. So let's focus on this. So our main skill is writing and our sub skill is speaking. And for the team, we have people and culture. Our language focus, we are going to focus on narrative tenses, language and expressions, and we also have linking words. All right. And besides that, for our learning standards, for the main skill, we have this writing 4.1.5. If you are wondering what is this, okay, we actually learn how to organize, sequence, and develop ideas within a text of several paragraphs on familiar topics. And then for complementary skill, okay, we are going to learn how to recognize with support typical features at word, sentence, and text levels of an increased range of genres. Okay, so if you do not understand what are those things, never mind, it's okay. You can refer to your Form 4 textbook, again, Full Blast Pass 4, on page 32 and 33, right? Okay. So, our learning objective today, we have 2 learning objectives. So for the first one, okay, the first one, we actually learn how to narrate events. That means we are learning how to tell a story, okay, the events in that story, according to the plan that we have assigned, okay, or we have designed for it, and with a brief descriptions of actions or setting for each paragraph. Okay. Besides that, we also have this the second one, which is to link with support the reading text given in a writing task, which is in your questions paper, whether to start or end a story appropriately. And sometimes, like I say, they give you a title. But today we are focusing on how to start or end a story appropriately.
All right.
Okay. So before that, okay, let's have a little bit of warm up.
All right.
Okay. So what kind of words or what words would you use to describe the most dangerous situations you have ever been in? Okay, so in your mind right now, okay, try to imagine the most dangerous situation you have ever been, okay? So try to think about it. If you don't have, that would be great, but then still you imagine that you are, okay? For example, you are in a dangerous situation right now. So what kind of word would you describe it, okay? So maybe we also can ask our friends here to help us, or maybe they can share their opinions with us, like what kind of words will they use to describe the most dangerous situation they have ever been.
All right.
Okay.
So who should we ask first, teacher?
Yeah, just anyone would like to volunteer first?
Yeah, you can raise your hands. Oh, okay.
Chewing,
Wow, very
okay,
fast.
Chewing.
All right, Chewing, go ahead.
And the word that I will use are bloody, threat, and also fire.
Okay, so bloody, threats, and fires, right? Okay, if you heard about the words bloody, right, then
Yeah.
you know it's like something's
Wow,
very
it's so,
dangerous, right?
it's so gory,
scary, right?
so scary.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. How about another pupils? Anyone? Yibun. All right, okay, Yibun.
Yes, yes, teacher. So I will use terror,
Terror,
hazardous, and fearful.
hazardous, and fearful. Okay, fearful, right?
Yes.
Okay, very scary. All right, next. Junwei. All right, okay, Junwei.
Yes, teacher. I would use death, panic, and chaos.
All right, that. Okay, panic and chaos, right? Okay, good. How about the last one, right?
Low way, right?
Low way, right?
Okay,
yes.
go ahead, Low way.
Yes, teacher. I would use unprotected, horrible,
Unprotected.
and also emergency.
Emergency. All right, thank you. Yes, unprotected, like horrible emergency. All these are referring to a very dangerous or terrifying situations, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Teacher, I would use, because my friends were sharing as well, and I
Yeah.
think those watching at home, you can think of 3 words that you would describe in a dangerous situation. For me, would be scary,
Scary.
dark, because dark is, I'm
Yeah,
afraid of the
right,
dark,
yeah, right.
and gloomy. So these are the 3 words. Yeah.
Yes.
So what is the
Okay.
purpose of describing these words, teacher?
Okay, so you see, like when we are trying to describe a situation, right, we tend to use a lot of adjectives. So today, not only we are going to learn about adjectives. First, like I say, we have to learn how to plan for that, okay, how to narrate the events. So we are going to use adjective to narrate the events. We
I
are also
see.
going to use like some senses to help us.
Okay.
So all of those, we need to use adjective words,
All
right?
right. Well, I am excited to learn more for writing a story, but first,
Yep.
we will take a short break. Is that okay, teacher?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and for those of you watching at home, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Success SPM 2022. I'll see you after this.
Didik TV KPM. Didik TV KPM.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Success SPM 2022 with me, Chris MJ, as well as Miss Sim and my classmates for today from SMJK Yok Kwan. We have Junwei, give me a wave, Chuying, Lewei, and Yi Bun. And today we are focusing on the subject of Bahasa Inggeris, more specifically on the topic of writing a story. And in this segment, we are going to focus on a writing plan. Is that correct, Miss Sim?
Yes, correct.
Okay, over to you, teacher.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's continue with the plan. All right, so when writing a story, Okay, so when you are going to tell a story, okay, you want to narrate the events. So here is the plan that you can use. Okay, first of all, we all know that for the first paragraph, we have to use introductions, right? That means you have to introduce. So what are the things that you have to introduce? So first, we have setting of the story. So you can introduce, for example, like time, place, weather, and etc., right? Okay, so for example, time, right? You can talk about last Saturday, and then if place, you can talk about in a cafe at a bus stop, and then if weather, you can talk about a sunny day, things like that, right? And besides that, you also need to introduce the main character in your story, right? So we are going to put the main characters here in introductions as well. All right. Okay, for the main part of your story, okay, roughly like 2 to 3 paragraphs. So you're going to talk about the events that happen in your story. You're going to talk about the actions that you have taken in the story, right? Or you're going to explain the plot of your story, okay? So for the conclusions, all right, you're going to explain what happens in the end. And also maybe you can give a little bit of comments or feelings about that story, or what have you learned from that story, things like that. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper. So we look at these introductions. Like I said just now, for introductions, most of the time students don't know how to start an essay, especially when you want to write a story, correct? Okay, so how are you going to start a story? You can start with the settings of the story. This is very important because you want to let your readers know what happened in the story. So you need to give them the information about time, place, weather, or sometimes the background of the story. For example, the society, the family background of the main characters, right?
Okay.
Okay. So for characters, you can talk about, of course, we need to introduce the name of the characters so that the reader can understand and they can remember who is in the story, right? Or who are in the story. And then we can talk about occupations, their personality, or we can talk about the appearance, right? But you don't need to put everything in your introduction. It's not like, okay, teachers say we must put all this in, so you just squeeze everything in. No. Okay, you just select which ones you think is the most important information that you would like to include in your story. Okay?
Okay.
So, all right, for this part, maybe you would like to know in more details, like what are the examples you can give, okay, for your introduction paragraph. Okay, what are the sentences you can write for your introductions? Okay, so here we will ask our friends here, right? We have 4 pupils here in the mid. So we are going to ask them to give us some examples, right? What are the sentences that we can use in our introductions? Okay, so anyone would like to try for setting here? Anyone volunteer? Okay, Yibun. Yibun, yes?
Yes, teacher. So I would like to take the place.
Place,
So for
okay.
example, I was in a cafe located at the corner of the street.
All right, thank you very much, right? So we know that you are actually at the cafe, the corner of the streets, yes. All right, thank you. How about another pupils? Another? Right, Chuing. Okay, Chuing, can you give us another example of setting? All right?
Yes. In the 19th century, many European countries were competing for colonies.
All right, okay, you talk about the time, you talk about the background, right? Okay, thank you. All right, now we move on to characters, okay? Another 2 pupils, I would like you to give me some examples, okay? Each of you just have to give me one sentence that talks about the characters in the story, all right? Junwei would like to start first, can or not? Junwei? Yes?
Yes, teacher. Elsa was wearing a school uniform and walking alone on the dark street.
All right, so you introduce the character Elsa. All right, thank you. How about Louis?
Yes. Kitty has a pair of gleaming jet green eyes, which make it such an adorable cat.
All right, thank you. So for characters, not necessary you have to use human beings. Sometimes you can use an animal, right? Okay, so let's move on. So this is for the main part of the story, okay? When we are going to introduce the events, we are going to describe the events, we need to use those adjectives. Or I put it here, okay? Those 5 senses to make your stories more interesting, okay? So we have sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. All right. Let's have a little activity here, okay? A small activity here. So what I would like you to do is you can take out an A4 paper, right? A blank one. Or for my pupils here, they have their mini whiteboard with them. So what I would like you to do is you can use your left hand. You put on the paper there, and then you sketch your hands, okay? You sketch your hand like this, right? For those left-handed persons, then you can use your right hand. It doesn't matter, right? Okay, you just put your hand, your palms there, and then you draw it, sketch it. And then I would like you to label it there. Okay, for the people here, you can do it as well, right? Right now, take out your mini whiteboard, and then you draw your hands, okay? And then, right, and then label it. Smell, hearing, sight, taste, and touch. We have these 5 senses with us. Then I would like you to label, after you have labeled it, I would like you to write it down, the words, okay, that you can think of for each sense, right? For example, smell. What kind of words you will use to describe sense? Smell, for example, okay? So you can list down the words here, okay? So later we are going to ask our pupils here, what are those words that they have used to describe the senses here, all right? All right, so cool. So we have smell, hearing, sight, taste, and touch. Okay, pupils, right? You ready? Yes? Can? All right. Okay, so for example, yeah, let's say if you took a sight, right, sense, sights. Okay, you can write something like bus stop. What did you see in the story? For example, what do you want us to know about that? Right, for example, bus stop, school, at home, all right, maybe at the corner, under the table and things like that. Okay, so let's have one of the pupils here to give us the example. Anyone would like to try? You just pick one sense, okay? You just pick one sense. Okay, Chewing. All right, which sense do you want to choose?
I like to choose hearing.
Hearing. Okay, so what are those words you can use?
Is crying,
Crying.
gossiping, barking, quiet, and also splashing.
All right, thank you. Yeah, even quiet because they cannot hear anything, right? All right. Okay, you want to describe the situations. And how about another pupil here? Yibun. All right, Yibun, which sense do you want to choose?
Yes, teacher. So this is my
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That was fast. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to choose smell.
Smell. Okay. What
Yes.
words will you use?
First, a pungent smell.
Okay, a
and
pungent
then
smell.
an earthy smell.
Earthy
The
smell.
third one is a burnt smell.
Burn
And the
smell.
last one is a rotten smell.
A rotten smell. Yes, you see, we have pungent, we have earthy, you know, it smells like the earth, or, you know, smell like the soil, right? Okay, good, very good.
Can I ask you to show your hand again, because I want everyone to see it, because it's so excellent. look at my one. It's just a few only. Wow.
All right. So next, all right. So we have examples here. Right? We have the sides. Okay, you can not only you can talk about umbrella, you can also include the color. Right? What did you see? For example, the red umbrella, the yellow umbrella, or we have like small bus stop. You know, the size of the bus stop. Okay, hearing. We also have noisy, whisper, and all these you can know that, like phones ringing, right? The things that you can hear. Okay, and then we have the smell here. We have scents of flowers, right? And then we have this pleasant smell, the aroma of coffee, right? Okay, for taste, we have all this, for example, like instead of just saying ice cream, you can actually say vanilla flavored ice cream. It makes your story more interesting, and we can also imagine that, oh, that is that tasty ice cream that they have, right? The vanilla flavored. All right, for touch, okay, you can talk about the hot green tea. Then we know it is very hot. And then you can talk about like a soft bed, right? And things like that. Okay, and not only okay, not only the 5 senses that we have to use in a story, okay, you also need to use these linking words, okay, to link your ideas and your story together. So what are those linking words? Okay, for example, for time, if you would like to tell other people about the time, okay, you can use, like, for example, before, as soon as, at first, at that moment, okay. And then if you would like to tell about a result or consequence, you can use so that, as a result, for this reason. All right? If you would like to explain a cause or reason, you can say because, as, because of. Here I put a noun here because after of, you have to use a noun, okay? Because of these persons, or if you have a verb, you need to change it to a noun, right? And then to emphasize some things, you need to use, like, for example, you can use in fact, actually, as a matter of fact. All these words are very important in your story, yeah? Okay. So, now, let's look at this, right? So we have those 5 senses. Just now we talked about those 5 senses. Which sense do you think is most commonly used in writing a story, and why? So maybe I will pick one pupils here,
okay,
right? To share with us which one is the most commonly used that he or she thinks about it. All right, so anyone here would like to try these questions? Anyone? Jun Wei. Okay, Jun Wei, what is your opinion?
In my opinion, I think it's sight, because I can describe the story with what I can see and what I can feel from viewing it, so that the reader can have the same feel as me, as if they were at the scenes. Thus, the reader can be more attracted to the story.
All right, I see. So he chose sight, yeah? It all actually depends on the story, like what kind of the things that you would like to tell them.
All right, thank you so much, Junwei. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, pupils. For this segment, we focused on how to make your story more interesting.
Yes, correct.
And using the 5 senses: sight,
Right.
hearing, smell, touch, and taste.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So, but for now, we'll take a short break. Is that okay, teacher?
Yes.
And for those of you watching, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here with Miss Sim for Success SPM 2022. We'll see you after this.
Didik TV KPM.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Success SPM 2022 with me, Chris MJ, as well as Miss Sim. And today we are focusing on writing a story for Bahasa Inggeris, which is in paper 2, SPM paper 2 for part 3. And in this segment, we'll be focusing on SPM writing test itself. So
Yes,
Miss Sim, over to you.
Thank you. All right, so let's look at this. Okay, so we are going to focus on SPM format, which is in paper 2, yeah, your SPM paper 2, in this writing, and part 3, where we were focusing on writing a story. Okay, so let's look at this, the format again. Okay, if you have the paper with you, you're supposed to say this in part 3. Write an answers to one of the questions 3 to 5 in this part. Okay, write your answers in 200 to 250 words in an appropriate style on this question paper. Okay, so normally for this part, you have 3 choices for you to choose, and you just have to choose one of them. Okay, for example, question 3. We have a questions that ask you to write an article or a report. Questions 4, okay, we have a questions that ask you to write a review of a book or magazine or movie, or sometimes they can ask you to write a review about a holiday destinations, right? Okay, and then the last ones will be a story. Okay, so sometimes these sequence can be switched in between that, but you just have to know there will be one questions that will let you write a story. Okay, so our focus today, writing a story. So again, these are the language banks, the words, okay, the phrases that you can use to express time or feelings. Let's go through one more round before we get to the questions. All right, so we have the time. Right, we have those words for feelings, right? And then if we like to explain the ways how you speak or how you think, you can use all these words to guide you, to help you with it, okay? Because different words, they have different meaning, right? Okay, it can explain different way of speaking. And we have those 5 senses again here. Yeah, you can use those words to help you in writing a story. So let's get to the questions. All right. So for example, we have these questions in, let's say, in your SPM writing test. So an international magazine has organized a short story competitions, and you have decided to enter. Right? The competition rules say that the story must end. Okay, this word is very important, right? Must end with the following words. They were lucky to be alive, right? So when you look at this sentence, what is in your mind actually, right? Because you have to use this sentence to end your story. So you need to decide, okay, when you look at this sentence, you have to decide what kind of stories are you going to write? Okay, what kind of situations that you must write so that you can end with this sentence appropriately. Okay, maybe we can ask one of our pupils here, like what kind of the story or what kind of situations that he or she may write in the story. Okay, so anyone would like to volunteer? Oh, Lowy, okay. Yes?
Yes, teacher. In my opinion, the setting for the story is a dangerous situation.
What? A dangerous situation. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think the
Yes.
phrase "lucky to be alive" means that the characters in the story had experienced something terrible, but they succeed in escaping from it.
All right. Thank you so much. So the key words here are lucky to be alive, right? So we can think of some like dangerous situations that you escape from it, right? And then you also have to look at the subject, okay? If you look at this, right, your story must include the first thing, more than one person. Okay, why? Because they use the pronouns they, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to check, always check your subject, okay? So has to be more than one person. And then the words lucky to be alive, it gives us the indications that it should be a dangerous situations. All right? Okay, let's move on to look at the sample essay. Okay, we have the sample essay here. It was cold, dark, and quiet for now. Terry and his brother Phil were sitting in the cabin, shaking with fear. Okay, it had been Terry's idea to spend the new year in the mountains. Terry got up quietly and glanced outside. When he looked at Phil again, he was so terrified he could barely speak. He held up two fingers and whispered, "There are two of them." There was no hope left. Two polar bears would easily find a way in. Suddenly, Terry had an idea. He searched through his bag and removed a small box. Terry had some fireworks which he wanted to set off at midnight, but now was probably a better time. So he lit one and threw it outside. Okay, continue. Next, we have another paragraph. They held their breath. A moment later, there were long bangs and flashes of light, which scared the polar bears away. "They are gone!" cried Phil. The boys were so relieved. The fireworks attracted some locals who took the boys to safety. They were lucky to be alive. Okay, so when we look at this sample essay, right? If you look at this sample essay, okay, we have 5 paragraphs here. Now we are going to analyze this essay, whether this writer end the story appropriately or not, okay? So let's look at the questions now. Has the writer ended the story appropriately? Okay, using the words given in the questions. Okay, what tenses did the writer use throughout the story? What words or phrases did the writer use to link the ideas together? And also, you can try to underline or look at the words or phrases that show us how the characters feel in the story. Okay, so I'm going to ask my pupils here to answer each of the questions, and let's check together, yeah, whether their answer is correct or not.
All right.
So for the first questions, anyone would like to try here? Gibbon. Okay, Gibbons, what is your answer for the first one?
Yes, teacher. I think the writer has ended the story appropriately.
Why?
Because in his story, he mentioned about the dangerous situation which the two boys had encountered.
Okay.
For instance, he mentioned that two boys met two polar bears while they were in the mountains, and lastly, the boys were rescued by the locals. Apart from that, in paragraph 2, the writer wrote some words like they could barely speak and there was no hope left. These two words have proven that the boys had experienced a cheated death.
All right, okay, so it means like it is a dangerous situations that they manage to survive, so it's lucky for them, right? Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, how about questions number 2? Anyone here would like to try? Okay, Tring, what tenses did the writer use?
I think the writer used a few tenses in this story. First,
good.
the writer uses past tense.
Past tense, okay, from where that you can see that's past tense. Yeah.
I found the word was and also got up in the story.
Okay, was, got up, okay. Yeah, other than past tense, any other tenses?
I think the writer also uses past continuous tense.
Okay, for example?
The words were sitting in the first paragraph.
First paragraph, were sitting. Oh, okay. All right. Anything else?
And the last is present tense.
Present tense. Why present tense? Okay.
In paragraph 2, Terry whispered to Phil. There are 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have past tense, past continuous, we have present tense here. Yes, of course. Yeah, correct. Okay, how about the third questions? What words or phrases did the writer use to link the ideas together? Anyone would like to try here? Okay, Louis? Okay, what kind of words do you think the writer used?
The writer uses a few linking words in
Okay.
the story.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the writer uses when in the
When.
paragraph 2.
Paragraph 2. Okay, when he looked at Phil. Okay, what else?
The writer also uses suddenly, but, and so in paragraph 3.
All right, okay. Suddenly, something happened or he had an idea. But, okay. And also so, okay, what is the next step? Yeah. All right, sure. What else? Anything else?
In paragraph 4, the writer used a moment later.
Okay, paragraph 4 here. All right, a moment later. Yeah, sure. Okay, correct, right? So those are some of the examples that you can use to link your ideas together, like using the time expressions, a moment later, right? Okay, how about the last questions, right? Any words or phrases that can show to us how the character feel in the story? Anyone would like to try this? Junwei? Okay, Junwei, you haven't got the chance, right? Okay, now it's your turn. Okay, what words?
Yeah. Actually, there are a few words to show that the character feel terrified. For example, dark, quiet,
Quiet.
cold,
Okay.
shaking with fear,
Shaking
and
with
no
fear.
hope left.
No hope left. Okay, right. Anything else you can give? Okay, never mind. It's okay. Right, we actually have more, right? Not only that, right? I'm going to show you the answers, right? What are those words that can show to us the feelings of the writer? Okay, for example, like just now Junwei say cold, dark, and quiet, and shaking with fear, right? No hope left. We can also have the words like so terrified and barely speak. All these can show to us those are the feelings the writer have that time, right? So, and then we have these, finally they come to a safety, right? They come to a safer place. So when they link, okay, when the writer used the last sentence, okay, this sentence to link it and then to end the story, it will be appropriate because the whole thing, the whole story that he created, okay, is in a dangerous situations, right? That the characters has experienced. Okay, so
that was
Yeah.
a sample essay that we just
Right.
looked at. Now, for those of you watching at home, you can actually refer to the sample essay in your textbook. Correct, teacher?
Yes, correct.
In your full blast +4,
Yes,
page
correct.
33, and that's where we can do the analysis.
Yeah.
But right now, we're going to take a short break, if that's alright with you, Miss Sim.
Yeah.
And for those of you watching at home, don't go anywhere. We'll be right here at Success SPM 2022.
Didik TV KPM.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Success SPM 2022 with Miss Sim and my friends from SMJK Yok Kwan Sekinchan. Let's say hi to Junwei, Lim Lewei, Yi Boon and Chui Ying. They are my classmates for today. And in this segment, we are going to focus on SPM writing, focusing on writing a story.
Yes,
And
correct.
in this segment, we're going to actually write the story.
Yes,
Over to
correct.
you, Miss Sim.
All right, thank you. All right, let's continue with our lesson today. All right, so this will be another questions, okay? For example, an international magazine has organized a short story competitions and you have decided to enter. the competition's rules say that the story must begin. Okay, so this time you have to use it to begin your story with the following words, right? So, Susan will never forget what happened that day. All right, so if you have these kind of questions in your SPM paper, right, especially your writing paper, right, so what kind of story do you have to write? Okay, what kind of story you need to write in your writing paper? Okay, so first, if you look at the words given here, Susan, that you must include the main character Susan, all right, in this story. It is very important, right? And then another thing is, if you look at the words here, never forget what happened that day. So it should be an unforgettable incident, right? That Susan will never forget. Okay, so let's go back to the plan that I've just told you. Okay, so for example, in introductions, okay, we have to talk about the setting of the incidents. Okay, we have to introduce the main character Susan, and in the main part of our story, we have to explain or give the what we are going to include in that story, right? So we can talk about the events or the situations that Susan's have, right? And then we can also have the plot of the story in it. And for the conclusions, we are going to end the story. You have to tell what happened in the end. And also we can have some comments or the feelings that maybe what Susan feel, okay, at the end of the story, right? Okay, so let's go back to the questions here, all right? You have to begin. That means you have to start your story with this sentence. Susan will never forget what happens that day, all right? So, how are you going to write this story? How are you going to continue with this sentence? So maybe we'll ask our friends here to help us, right, how to continue such a sentence. Okay, when you listen to your answer, you can also try to identify what kind of situations that Susan have, right? Okay, so let's start with, maybe you can just ask anyone here that anyone would like to start to give the sample, because this one actually is their homework, right? I have assigned it homework for them at home. So we will like to see what will they have for their introductions, right? Okay, anyone here would like to start first? Anyone? Okay, Yibun. Okay, you may start first.
Yes, teacher. So I will write, student will never forget what happened that day.
All right.
It was a sunny and cloudless afternoon. Susan was traipsing back home after having an exhausted day at school. She was walking through a street which she could never be more familiar with. Out of the blue, a group of people who gathered at the corner of the street caught her attention.
All right, thank you, Yibun. Okay, so you can see that in this paragraph, right, this introductions paragraph, Susan was very tired, right? She just got back from the school. All right, okay, let's listen to another story and see is there any different, okay? Anyone here would like to try this? The next one? Okay, Tring, okay, can you give us your introductions? What happened to Susan then?
Yes. Susan will never forget what happened that day. She just passed the final examination with flying colors.
Okay.
She was in high spirits on her way home. Suddenly, she heard an extremely loud and unusual scream from the alley.
All right, okay, thank you. Right, so this time Susan is not tired at all.
Yeah.
This time she was so excited because she just passed the exam, right? Excellent, right? With excellence. Okay, so let's see another Susan, like what kind of Susan we'll have, right? Okay, anyone here? Loie? All right, Loie. What happened to your Susan?
Susan will never forget what happened that day. She was sleeping soundly as usual,
Okay.
and suddenly she was woken up by the sound of crying. She jumped out of her bed and realized that someone was lying on the floor.
Okay, so this time it's kind of scary, no?
Okay.
Someone was lying on the floor, right? So this Susan maybe will have something happen on that day that she will never forget what happened that day, yeah?
Yes.
Sounds like a bit closer. Yeah, very close to the sentence there. All right, how about Junwei? What is your story?
Susan will never forget what happened that day. Susan and her sister, Jenny, decided to go snorkeling since the spell of rainy weather had broken. They told their parents about the plan and got their green light.
Okay, so this time Susan got another to accompany her, right? Susan and her sister. Okay, so you can see that although we have the same sentence to start with, we can actually create different story, right? Just you have to plan what kind of situation you want this Susan to be in, right? Just that remember that this situation will be the situation that she will never forget, right? Not
Yes.
right? Yeah. Okay, so let's see, right? Let's do a recap of what we have learned today. Okay, so when writing a story, first, of course, you have to plan ahead. You need to know what you're supposed to write in your introductions. You need to know what are the things that happen in the story. And also, you have to give an ending to that story, okay? So that would be the first thing.
Okay.
And the second thing, you use past tenses. You may ask, why do we have to use past tenses in our story? Because the things, okay, the story that you told other people, okay, must be the things that have been, that had happened, okay, then only you can tell other people, correct? So those story has to be in the past, okay, so we have to use past tenses. And then we have to use linking words to organize our story, okay, so that our story will be more organized so that people can follow the storyline of our story. So linking words are very important in writing a story, okay? And also, we can use the 5 senses to help us to describe the story so that it can be more lifelike, it can be more interesting, and it can attract the attentions of our readers, right? So those are very important.
Teacher, I have a question. Is it necessary for us to use all 5 senses in our stories?
Okay, it depends on what kind of story you're going to write. Okay, for me, I would say like, okay, you can use as much as the senses that you want to put in your story.
Okay.
But then sometimes, okay, in your story, if it doesn't have a relations with smell, for example, you're not talking about the smell or taste, then you no need to like forcefully put the sense inside it, all right, into your story. Okay, you just have to pick like a few senses that you think is a must is in your story.
Okay,
all right?
understood. Thank you, teacher.
Okay, all right. So, and then how to begin or to end a story, you have to always look for the indications, all right, or the words that have been given to you, especially in that questions, right, in that story. Okay, so you are going to see, okay, what kind of situations the main characters actually had in that story. So that will give you a hint of what kind of genre of the story you are going to create. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So next. All right, so let's come to the end here. So we would like to hear from our pupils here, okay? I'm going to ask them to share their insight of today, what have they learned from the lessons today, okay? So it's also a recap for you, like to think about it, okay? To recall what we have learned previously, right?
All right.
Okay, so maybe we'll start with the first one, Tring. Tring, what have you learned today?
Without doubt, I've learned something fresh and also useful today. When writing a story, a complete and also logical background is a must. By describing the characters and events in much more details, the reader can imagine and also understand the whole story better.
Okay, yes. She mentioned about the logical sequence, right? That's why you have to use all those linking words to help you, right? To guide you. Okay, Eben.
Yes, teacher. Well, I used to be scared of writing a story before, but now I don't think it's a problem for me because I learned a lot from today's lesson. First, I know how to plan my story. For example, I know how to introduce my story, how to set a setting, and so on. Secondly, I know I have learned a lot of adjectives today, which I can use to describe the place, the time, or the weather in my story. Lastly, I learned that I can also add my 5 senses in my stories, so my story can be more detailed.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, very important to put the 5 senses in your story. Not necessary to have all 5, but you can have a few, right? Okay, and next, Junwei?
I have learned a lot of new knowledge in writing today. applying the 5 senses in a story is the most important thing that I learned today.
All right.
I will
Okay.
emphasize the 5 senses in my essay writing to make my story become more interesting.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. 5 senses very important in writing a story. Okay. And how about Loe?
Yes, I have learned a lot about writing skill today. Before that, I used to be writing a story in an unorganized way, but now the problem has been solved as I know how to create a better setting and plot for my story.
Okay.
I also learned how to link the story with the words given.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, very important. You need to know how to link the given sentence, okay, the sentence that given to you. But not necessarily they will give you the sentence. It depends, like I say. Because sometimes they will just give you a title, right? They give you a title like, for example, A Good Neighbor. And then they ask you to write a story about a good neighbor. Okay, you can also use this plan to talk about your story. Yeah.
All right. Miss Sim, I would also like to ask you, is
Yes.
there any other tips you'd like to share with all the pupils watching at home for us to score better in the writing segment of SPM?
All right, okay, for writing, very important, you have to remember that when we look at the writing, the answers, right, the essays that you have written, normally we will check for, of course, very important, we are going to check for your vocab, your spelling, your grammar, everything like that.
Yes.
But a very important thing is, like I say just now, the linking words. So that tends to like, pupils tend to forget to use the linking words. It's very important, for example, those conjunctions, sentence connectors, because those are the words that can help you to link your ideas together so that your reader will not be like lost, okay, when they read your story and things like that. So this is very important.
Okay.
And then like just now I've mentioned, also the 5 senses. This is also one of my pupils shared to me because he said that the most important tips, okay, that he wants other pupils to learn as well is the 5 senses because it helps him a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, teacher. And what would you recommend for pupils? Like how much time should be allocated for writing this segment in SPM?
Oh yeah, okay, talking about the time, yeah, because now this is a new format.
Okay.
So they have like a totally different format from the previous one. Previous one, we have 2 essays in 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
This time, we have 3 essays in 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Oh wow. So how
That
much
means
would
what?
you...
That means if you would like to like separate them, right, average, like you want to put like 30 minutes, 30 minutes for each essay, but that one actually is not enough because you need to refer back to the words. Okay, we have 80 words, 120 and 200 words, right? Okay, so you actually have to allocate like maybe 15 to 20 for the first one.
Okay.
Okay, the second one you allocate like 30 minutes, and the last one you can have 45 minutes like that.
Okay, understood. Well, with that, I just want to say thank you so much, Miss Sim, for today's lesson. And I'm very sure everyone watching at home as well now has more confidence on answering this part of SPM on how to write a better story. So with that, thank you so much for those watching at home. We wish you all the best for SPM. My name is Chris and I will see you again here on Didik TV KPM. Bye everyone!